Hi everybody, it's David Fleming here from the Toronto Realty blog, and welcome to this week's Pick 5. Now before we start into the properties this week in Mississauga, which you know of course because you read the headline, I want to get political for a moment. And I know that's one of the things that you're supposed to shy away from today. I think politics, taxes, and religion. But specifically in the city of Toronto, I feel that we're at a crossroads, especially in this real estate market. There's a growing sentiment and a growing movement among the politicians that's reinforcing society's sentiment that everybody in Toronto should be able to afford a home. And should's a dangerous word. I've always said that. Now, at the end of the day, I believe in supply and demand. I believe that there are haves and there are have-nots, and it's unfortunate if you want to be able to afford a big detached 4-bedroom house and you don't make the income, or you don't have the savings, or you don't have the family connections, or you didn't win the lottery, or what have you, to be able to afford it. But there's this prevailing sentiment out there that people should be able to afford to buy and live comfortably in the city of Toronto, and I think that's a bit of a misnomer. I think it's a bit far-fetched. And I think if you looked at any other world-class city, I'm sorry, but if you got a 5-year work posting in Paris, France, you wouldn't get off the plane and say, oh my God, I'm here. Where do I go to buy a house? I think downtown Toronto, and Toronto mostly, 20, 25 years from now will be a city of renters. And that's just a factor of supply and demand. And I think the Liberal government and their initiatives, and look, I don't believe in their policies, but I think they're trying to stop this, but maybe they're just slowing it down. And it's kind of exacerbated by things like this. Check this out, guys. Just humor me here. This was an article in the Globe and Mail. Toronto has no room for us. And it says here, the house was just another investment for our landlord, but to my daughter and me, it was home. And it's basically an article where somebody that was renting blames the landlord for having the audacity to sell their house. Now, the landlord worked hard, bought this house as an investment, could have lost money on it. Okay, it's has risk, even though the market's done nothing but go up. But this idea that it's somehow unfair, and the woman goes on to blame the landlord for getting $300,000 above list, and it sounds like it's a bungalow that's going to be torn down. But this is the idea that I just don't quite understand. It's not a right to comfortably own a home in the city of Toronto. It is a privilege. This isn't the 1960s. The population has doubled, and the housing stock hasn't. So what I want to do today, guys, is I want to give you an example of where houses are far more affordable, and that's in Mississauga. I'm going to show you houses that cost half of what they would cost in Toronto, and I challenge somebody that's complaining and saying the government should this, the government should that, and I challenge those people to say, move to Mississauga. Now, if you say, well, I don't want to move to Mississauga, I want to live in Toronto, then why are we even having this argument, right? It's like the articles about the rentals that were, skyrocketing in price, and these kids, these millennials were saying, I can't even afford to live at Bay and Bloor. Well, you don't have to live at Bay and Bloor. If you have a job that doesn't pay you enough to live at Bay and Bloor, then don't live at Bay and Bloor. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. Anyways, guys, that's my political rant. Some of you may not agree, but hey, look, I always put myself out there, and call me biased because I work in real estate. But just this idea in society today, the government needs to keep making changes and keep giving money and keep taxing and trying to make sure that everyone gets what they want. It's just so unrealistic, especially when it comes to houses in Toronto. So work with me here, guys. Let me show you a pocket of Mississauga where you can get, believe it or not, a 3-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house built in 2001 for $649,000. And if you say, well, I can't afford $649,000, then I would say in the downtown core, that's a 1-bedroom in King West. Okay, thank you for indulging that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at the listings. So here we are, guys. Toronto. This is me, this little blue dot, and Google, for whatever reason, is there. So I'm not telling you that you need to, say, move to Oshawa. But again, I might argue, and I've got to put the politics aside, but I might argue, if you can only spend $600 a month in rent, maybe you should move to Oshawa and rent a basement apartment. And I don't know. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look at this. This is Mississauga. We're going to look at a pocket right in here called Churchill Meadows. Now, how far is this from the downtown core? Again, life's about sacrifices. You want to work in the downtown core. You can't afford to own a house in Forest Hill. I mean, who among us can? This pocket right here near the Erin Mills Town Center is what I want to look at. And so today we're going to look in this pocket between 9th Line, Eglinton, Winston Churchill, and I believe this is Britannia. Yeah, Britannia Road. So the pocket itself, guys, you can see the green space, a lot of parks, there's a lot of schools, and we've got, let me zoom in here. There we go. We've got Churchill Metals School here, you've got the Catholic School here, Joan of Arc, oh wow, Stephen Lewis, you've got a huge park here, the Community Common, you've got a huge park here in O'Connor Park, another public school, down here another park, that is the, I would guess, Catholic French School, and then down here you, Marco Muzzo Memorial Woods and Park. Isn't that the guy? That must be his dad. That's not the guy that, killed that family, is in jail. Weird. Okay, and then there's Oscar Peterson. So keep going. There's just so many schools in this pocket. I know we're south of where we're looking, but another Catholic school and an Artisan Drive public school. So point being, you guys know I always talk about 4 things. I talk about parks, schools, transit, and infrastructure. And so here we've got parks, here we've got schools. The transit, public transit, not great, obviously, but that's a sacrifice you're making. But you are close, obviously, to the 407 and the 403. You've got the 403 going down to the QEW. You're either going to be driving into the city every day, or you're going to be, sorry, I got distracted, Piper's Heath. Have I ever played there? This has nothing to do with real estate. Stop thinking about golf. I've not played golf yet this year. It sucks. Are you going to be taking public transit into the city? So that's the one thing where obviously we might not do so well. Okay, so let's take a look at the listings here, guys. You can see on my map, we've got 9th Line, Winston Churchill, Britannia. We're actually way north of Eglinton. So we're in that one little pocket at the top there, which I was showing has a couple of different schools and 2 massive parks. So we're going to start here with this. And this is a 3-bed, 3-bath house for $649. There's no catch here. Okay, it's been on the market 15 days. You could pick this up for $630. So again, I challenge the growing family in downtown Toronto to say, what would be so wrong with looking at houses in Mississauga? Now, this is a fantastic house. All of these houses, guys, every single one that we're looking at today was built after the year 2000. And this is a point that I'm not going to gloss over. Remember this. Housing stock in downtown Toronto, we're always looking at the red flags and the deal breakers. Let me get a list of things up here, please. Okay, first thing we're always looking for when it comes to pipes, we're looking for clay pipes. That's something that is incredibly old, incredibly brittle, and is going to be potentially a deal breaker. Number 2, we're looking for lead pipes. Now, some might say that lead pipes aren't as bad because you can put, a little spout on the tap for drinking water, but lead pipes, an out-of-date building material, you wouldn't find in these houses. Number 3, we're looking for knob and tube wiring. Knob and tube wiring was prevalent in the, 50s, 60s, and so on, and into number 4, aluminum wiring. Aluminum wiring is another thing that a lot of the home inspectors note, and a lot of the home insurance companies don't want in a house. Number, I don't know where we were, 5, asbestos. Asbestos was a building material that was used, again, going back decades. You wouldn't find it in this house. Number 6, 7, I don't know where we are here, UFI. UFFI, that's urea formaldehyde insulation, something that was used in the 80s. So this list of things here, there we go. This list of things here, guys, is a list of building materials that we look for in houses in the city of Toronto. Some of these houses date back to the 1880s, and I haven't even touched on things like the foundation of the house or the quality of the build, and those are all red flags, sometimes deal breakers. With these houses, these are all built after the year 2000. None of those apply. It's phenomenal value. The value in this is just incredible. So take a look at this house on Freeman Terrace, and we'll go to the map here, and I'll show you. It's towards 9th Line here. Okay, ooh, the headquarters cut and shave. All right, Google picked that up for some reason. So here we are on Freeman Terrace. Okay, these streets all going east-west, or I guess it would be slightly northeast, but I dare say there's not a lot of through traffic on these, because at the end of the day, here you've got a little circle. At the end of the day, there's just nowhere really to go. If you're cutting across east-west, you're going up Britannia. You're going down Winston Churchill. You might be going, here's a slightly busier street, you might be going across McDowell. You're not really going through these streets. So it's a super quiet little pocket. And the house, as I said, is a 3-bed, 3-bath. It's a row. It's attached to both sides. But it's a 20 by 110 foot lot. Now, if you think about what a 3-bed, 3-bath, 20 by 110 would cost, private drive doesn't apply. You wouldn't find it. Built-in garage, 2 to 3 car parking. If you were looking right now, say, in the Danforth and Coxwell pocket, I always talk about Danforth Village, it would be $1.1 million, and it wouldn't be in this shape. So 1.1, when the market was really hot in February, would be 1.2. We have it now for $649, and like I said, I think you can get this $625, $630. So we're almost half. We're almost half as much, and again, it goes towards my argument that if you can't afford to live in the city of Toronto, you can move slightly outside. And, you know, I'm not telling you to move to Sault Ste. Marie, although all options are available. Okay, so we've got here the exterior shot. You can see built-in garage. You don't get that in the city of Toronto, and houses in this price point, obviously. So it's really nice, updated, in great shape. Again, things like this, the tile maybe you don't like. I'm going to show you some that are really in need of work. But this thing's just unbelievable. For $649,000, I cannot get over the value here. And again, the finishes might not be your taste, but this thing does have, and again, massive bedroom. You don't find that in your typical semi in Danforth Village. Second bed, third bed, bathroom. Where's the basement? Let's get to the basement. Okay, so here you go, finished basement with a drop ceiling. And I hate that drop ceiling. I would probably drywall it. The furniture's bad. They don't really stage as much out here. And a big backyard. So guys, $649. Tell me what's wrong with this. Tell me who doesn't want to live in Mississauga. In this house, $649. I can't even tell you how many one-bedroom condos, you know, that are 600 square feet are selling in King West for this price point. Okay, move on to the next one. 5918 Chalfont Cres. I don't actually know if it's meant to be French. So here we've got one that is, I'm going to zoom in, excuse me, is very close to Britannia, but I think that is somewhat reflected in the price. So go back to the listing. We're $699 here. This is way bigger. This is a 25-foot semi. 25 foot. That's unbelievable. You don't get that. I keep saying in the city, but you don't really get 25-foot semis, especially in that Danforth Coxwell area. 25 feet, I mean, semis you can get, God, I don't know, in the annex, you could probably get a 35-foot semi. But again, 3-bed, 3-bath. And this one's a lot larger in terms of square footage. A little more dated. You can see the spindles and that sort of thing here. This one was also built in 2001. But the other one had that sort of wrought iron. This one's got the wood, and it's got that light yellow sort of look to it. The photos suck here. So, look, not exactly the best representation. Great throw pillows, but again, bad photos. So you'll have to take my word for it here, guys. We're $699.9, 3-bed, 3-bath. A little bigger than the last house, which I think was $625. And again, this is 14 days in the market. So none of these properties have offer dates. Keep that in mind. All these prices are negotiable. There's the basement. Don't love the tile flooring, but it's got good height to it. And we're just flying through here. Bad paint colors, bad bedspread color, and your backyard. Okay, so call this thing 670. 670. 3-bed, 3-bath. 25 feet. Private built-in garage. Phenomenal value. Absolutely phenomenal. And this is what I'm talking about, is that there is a glut of houses that are sitting just outside the central core that are sitting, being the key word there. They're sitting. They're negotiable. So you don't have to go in and throw the boat at 1.1, 1.15 on a semi that's, you know, near Greenwood Park area if you can't afford it. And you can go and buy something like this for almost half the price. Okay. Keep going along here, guys. So we're getting into bigger houses now. Now, this is where things get very interesting, because now you're sort of entry-level 3-bed, 3-bath. Now you're into a 3-bed, 4-bath with a rec room and a basement downstairs. And this one, I believe, has basement income. So if you're really struggling to afford the $724,900, 19 days in the market, I'm going to say that this is under $700,000 as well. Under $700,000. Look at this house. This thing was built in 2003. 2003 built. Everything's relatively new. Even if they've never touched the appliances and the roof and the mechanicals, you know, you're still, what, 13, 14 years? Okay, so maybe the air conditioner is on its last legs, but the roof should have another 5, 6 years. The furnace, God, could have another 15. And, you know, inside, it's actually tastefully done. So take a look here. Again, photo's not the best, but very updated kitchen. Big principal living space, dining, living. And there should be a family room off the side here. They're not showing it. That shot I don't love because it shows everyone lives really close to each other. Master bedroom, bathroom, bedroom, and bedroom. Pretty good sizes. Again, you don't find this in your typical semis in the east side. A lot of them don't even have closets, right? The middle bedroom doesn't have a closet. So here's where you get into the slightly larger footprint. Okay, this is close to 2,000 square feet all told. The other ones were sort of, you know, 15 and 16 respectively. Here you have the nanny suite, or the, you know, what do you want to call it? I guess the teenager's room, moved down to the basement. I remember when that move was cool. I had a buddy that did that. He lived there until he was like 30. Okay, and there you've got, this staging's kind of silly. 2-person, who's dining in the basement? Oh, this might be the basement apartment. Yes, there you can see off to the side the kitchenette. Okay, so if you want the income, it's yours. And nice little shot of the backyard. There's a walkout from the basement to the backyard. And there you go, 20 by 100 foot lot. So again, Call this 680, call this 690. Unbelievable value. And did I show you where? Yes. Okay, where this one's located. Okay, so keep in mind, a lot of your infrastructure is along 10th line here, and obviously Winston Churchill, but it's, driving, right? You're not exactly walking out to Winston Churchill. I guess you could. But the one thing I will say about Mississauga, I was driving through here not too long ago when, for some odd reason, I got a camera for my wife's birthday at Henry's in downtown Toronto, and I chose the one camera that they did not have any of. So I thought, no problem. I'll just drive out to Mississauga at 4 o'clock on a Friday. And it took like 2.5 hours round trip. But I was just fascinated by the amount of infrastructure they have. And you might call it like mini mall style, but every one of these major roads, there's everything. There are so many stores, whether it's big box stuff, whether it's medium-sized stuff. I mean, you could literally swing a dead cat and hit Tim Hortons. It's like Hamilton, where I went to school, McMaster, from 1998 to 2001. I think. I didn't drink coffee at the time, but I was just unbelievably impressed by how many Tim Hortons they had. It was like, do I go to the Tim Hortons that's 10 feet away or the Tim Hortons that's 11 feet away, but I have to cross the street? Anyways, okay, so that's the map. Let's get back to the next property here, guys. 3883 Talias Crescent. So again, we're into this 3-bed, 4-bath, but now we're into monster lots. So we're 749, sitting on the market 22 days. I'm going to call this thing 710, 725. So if you were to say, I want a 30-foot lot, 3-bed, 4-bath for 725 in the downtown core, central core, you're not getting it. A 30-foot semi. 30-foot semi. What is that going to cost you? 1.25, 1.3. Again, it depends on what it looks like inside. But this thing is absolutely massive. So it's a corner lot. And this one I think had, yes, a lot of the, yeah, okay, so this is the one. The tile, don't love. The yellowish, don't love. Really don't love that. And then the flooring. So it's a little bit dated. This one's built in 2000. But again, maybe you don't want to get in and start renovating. Maybe you really don't care because you can't believe the kind of space that you got. But the space here is just phenomenal. It's open concept. It's got 9-foot ceilings, which is a bit ahead of its time. Specifically in the year 2000. Master bedroom, look at the size of it. So you might say, or I might say, sorry, we're trading semis. We're trading semis in Mississauga versus trading semis on the east side in the downtown or in the central core, but we're really not, because this is the size of probably 3 master bedrooms in your typical, I don't know, 20 by 100 foot on Milverton, or even 18 by 100 feet on Milverton. So there you go. There's the little bay that belongs to the master bedroom, which is kind of neat. See how big this is? Just gargantuan. $700,000. Jesus, I can't get over it. Finishes, again, this is like a laminate melamine countertop. You're not getting granite, but, and then I hate the tile. It's like a light pink, almost light purple. Downstairs, you've got a small kitchenette, which isn't really rentable, I'd say. I'd say it's more, there you go, more for, I don't know, the man cave. You don't have to go up a flight of stairs to get a beer. God forbid, get a little exercise. That's what my mom always says. That's why she keeps in shape, going upstairs to check her email. Mom, I know you're watching. I love you. Okay, so here we've got a creepy little shot of a TV, and who was that? Is that Steve Paikin on the left there? Yeah, from TVO. Ah, cool. Okay. I can't believe I spotted that. Yeah, look, right here, I think. I don't know, it could be Sports Center for all I know. Anyways, then in the backyard you have the death trap that is the trampoline. A lot of lawsuits going on with trampolines. And another shot of the basement, so they're kind of out of order. Anyways, guys, not to sound repetitive, but this is a 3-bed, 4-bath on a 30-foot wide lot for what I think could be slightly over $700,000. Just absolutely unbelievable value. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. We're actually going to do 6 today. I know, we hate when we do pick 6, right? Okay, so here we go. Another 3-bed, 4-bath semi. This is on a 22, but this is a lot newer. This was built in 2006. So 2006 built, a little more visually appealing from the outside. I love things like this. Attached garage for 4 to 5 cars. Great. So now we've got, oh, that yellowish again. And I don't love the furniture. Should we go to the map? Actually, we'll do that after. So you're getting kind of bored of these, I think, because it's a lot of similar finishes that you don't like. And I feel like I'm forcing you to go live in Mississauga. But look, what do you want for $750,000? $750, okay. So now you get a master bedroom. You get a 12-foot vaulted ceiling. It's huge. I know you don't like the colors, neither do I. But you got to use your imagination here a little bit, guys. Because, again, we're looking at housing stock in Toronto that dates back to the 20s. I mean, I'm sure it's staged nicely, but mechanically, these things are pretty sound. I mean, think about the windows. These windows were, you know, 2006. Was it 6? 2006. You're never going to have to replace them, ever. unless you live there for 70 years. But I probably still wouldn't. So there you go, massive basement. I think that's a fish tank, which is really cool. Can we get another shot of that? Looks like a fish tank to me. So look at the size of this basement. You're never getting a basement like this in the central core at this price or anything near it. Sorry, at double this price. And that is a fish tank. Wow, that is awesome. I want one of those. Actually, we have a fish tank here at our office. We went out on a whim, I think, last year. Like, let's get a fish tank. And we did. And none of us really knew how to take care of it, and the fish kept dying until somebody stepped in whose kids have a fish tank, and now she monitors it, and we're not allowed to touch it. So there you go. Anyway, so you've got a bar in the basement. This house I really like. It's massive. I know I went through the pictures pretty quick in the upstairs because the finishes are really gross. But this is a basement with a 7.5 to 8 foot ceiling, I would estimate. Completely open concept. Bring 20 of your closest friends. It's got a bar, and it doesn't have a walkout, but it's phenomenal value at what I think is about $750,000. Okay, so those are the 5. Now I want to show you as we get into detached. First and foremost, Treb Market Watch. Circle this for me, please. 1.5 million is the average price of a detached in the 416. So now you're going to ask, David, you've been showing us semis and row houses and links. And links are where they share a foundation, but the exterior might not be attached, right? So it looks like it's detached, but the foundation is linked. Okay, so we're going to move on to the first detached. So now what does a detached cost? $835,000 on the market 20 days, call it 800. 3 bed, 3 bath on a 36 foot lot. Wow, 835,000. Can we go back to this? 1.5 million is the average price of a detached in Toronto. And that's taking into consideration $8 million houses and your odd crummy kind of 2 bed detached, I don't know, at like DuPont and something or other, that's detached, right? But it's smaller than a semi, on an 18 foot lot, little skinny mini guy, for $780,000. So here we've got, what is this? 800,000, that was 1.5. So a little more than half, and that seems to be the theme today, a little more than half of what it would cost for that average detached. And inside, this one was built in 2001. Inside, a lot of funky colors. But again, look at the size of the ceiling height, 13 foot ceilings on the main floor. It's got a main floor family room. They just really, really need to paint here. And maybe update some of the appliances. You could do a lot worse than that. Eden kitchen. Eden kitchen's pretty cool. And 3 bedrooms. So they're missing the ensuite, I guess. No, actually, they're missing the... Oh, that's the one. Okay, so this has the unfinished basement. So of your 3 bathrooms, you've got a 4-piece master ensuite, a 4-piece kids bath, a 2-piece on the main, and then down here you have an unfinished basement. So what's great about these unfinished basements is this isn't like your 1920s semi on the east side where you're hoping that, you don't bang your head on everything. These are unfinished, but they're basically concrete floor, right? 2x4s with insulation and vapor barrier up against all the walls and an 8-foot ceiling. I saw this a lot. I had friends in Hamilton, obviously I went to school there. A lot of friends that were buying in Hamilton up on the mountain or in Dundas, Stony Creek. Same thing with a lot of houses in Richmond Hill and evidently in Mississauga. A lot of the builders build and they leave the basements unfinished. But to actually finish it, you're doing what? Drywalling, mudding, sanding, putting in a door, putting in a couple walls. It's relatively inexpensive. So $800,000 here for 3 bed, 3 bath, detached on a 36 foot lot. And I'll show you the map for this one, guys. This one's kind of over, again, near where we started. I think we started up at Freeman Terrace up here. Yeah. And so here, this one I liked because this is very close. It's 3 houses in from this little parquet. I call it a park. They say park. Parquet's like our word for that patch of grass in the downtown core. Anyways, guys, so that's the 6 houses. And hopefully you're not still reeling over my political rant. And some people might say, and fairly so, well, you work in real estate. You're desensitized to it. I guess I just think that, going back to basic economics and school, it's supply and demand. And it would be fantastic if everyone was able to afford what they want. But, I read so many newspaper articles and so many media stories about just people want and they can't afford and it's unfair. And I think, life isn't fair. I guess that's, kind of naive to say, but it is just supply and demand. And there's a lot of things that the government could do, ban foreign buyers. Okay, I get it. Ban people from buying real estate as an investment property. I don't think that makes sense. I think it's just a growing city. And I think ultimately it's the ideas and the beliefs that people have, that everyone should be able to afford the house that they want. And I think we're one of the only world-class cities that really has that prevalent school of thought in a large part of society today. Because as I said, I mean, if you went to New York and you're like, well, you know, I want to own a 4-bed, 5-bath, I mean, it's like $15 million in downtown Manhattan. It just doesn't happen. So I thought this might be helpful, and hopefully I wasn't too political there. But that is the way I see things right now, and I just think there's so many other options for people out there. And if our government did expand transit rapidly, I've always made the argument, wouldn't it be amazing if, you know, there was a bullet train like they've got in Japan, and you could get on in Niagara Falls and be at Union Station in 29 minutes. You could literally own a $150,000 bungalow off of Lundy's Lane and wake up in the morning, have your morning coffee, and say, okay, I'm heading into the city, right? So I don't know. And that spurs another, obviously, political tangent, which is what the government spends money on. They don't ever think long term because their tenures are only 4 years and they need to continue to do things to get reelected. But I don't take public transit, and yet I would sacrifice everything, spend all of my tax dollars on public transit, not just in Toronto, but in Ontario. Because if we can link the Golden Horseshoe, and if you had these houses in Mississauga, for example, people were able to get into the city easier, or they were to live here, and God forbid they worked in Burlington or Oakville. We need to connect the Golden Horseshoe, which is where most of the population of Canada lives. And if people can live outside of the central core, if people can actually stomach living in Ajax, right, or living in Oshawa, and being able to get to the downtown core a hell of a lot quicker, then guess what? Not everyone needs to live in Toronto, and ultimately that will affect the real estate pricing. Not as much demand, prices level or even go down, and I think that's what everyone wants. I think the government's going about it probably the wrong way. And that's it for today. That was a pretty good rant. I can be serious when I want to, but there's so many options out there, guys. There's so many places to live in, you know, the GTA, and this is just one of them. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Hope I expanded your horizons. That's it for me this week. Have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.